I, Nelson Mandela, do hereby swear to be faithful to the Republic of South Africa. So help me God.
To many, he was a hero, a man of courage, conviction, and vision. He was often called humble, charming, loyal, and a man who cared about others. Nelson Mandela was born on July 18, 1918, and grew up in Transkei, a former South African black homeland. As a young man, he became active in the anti-apartheid movement and joined the African National Congress, or ANC, and in the 1940s became head of the ANC's youth wing. Mr. Mandela attended college and law school, and with ANC colleague Oliver Tambo, began the first black law firm in South Africa. Located in Johannesburg, they gave free or low-cost legal advice to blacks. The government banned the ANC in 1960, but the group continued to operate secretly. Mr. Mandela was constantly evading the police and forced to live apart from his second wife, Winnie, who later also became active in the anti-apartheid movement. When the ANC decided stronger action must be taken to end apartheid, Mr. Mandela became head of the group's new military wing, coordinating a sabotage campaign against South African military and government targets. In 1962, Mr. Mandela was arrested and put on trial for his actions against the government. He defended his actions as part of the struggle of the African people for a free society. 2 years later, he was sentenced to life in prison on Robben Island off the coast of Cape Town. He spent 18 years in the notorious prison, refusing a government offer in 1989 to release him if he would renounce the ANC's armed struggle. But he finally was freed in 1990 after the white government, led by President Frederick de Klerk, legalized all political parties and discharged most political prisoners. In 1991, Mr. Mandela was elected president of the African National Congress. And in 1994, when the ANC won South Africa's first all-race elections, he became the country's first black president at the age of 75.
Never, never, and never again shall it be that this beautiful land will again experience the oppression of one by another.
Herman Cohen was U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for Africa from 1989 to 1991. He says most South African blacks looked up to Mr. Mandela as the person who could make their lives better.
He seemed to have that special charismatic approach, and he became the symbol of the fight against apartheid. So it was only natural that he would be chosen to be their first president.
President Mandela said he would stay for only one term. Cohen says during Mr. Mandela's 5 years as president, he earned international respect for South Africa's national reconciliation.
Mandela devoted himself mainly to rallying the Africans to this new era, to work on economic development and having good education. And also he was very much of a spokesman on the international scene.
Apart for most of their lives, Winnie and Nelson Mandela remained together after his release from Robben Island, but soon became estranged and divorced. On his 80th birthday, Mr. Mandela married Graça Machel, widow of former Mozambican President Samora Machel. Mr. Mandela received hundreds of awards during his lifetime, and he shared the Nobel Peace Prize in 1993 with his once bitter enemy, Mr. de Klerk. They were honored for their contribution to the peace process in South Africa. Mr. Mandela praised the South African people.
We will have created a society which recognizes that all people are born equal.
As president, Mr. Mandela was criticized for not confronting South Africa's AIDS epidemic. However, in his later years, he became a public advocate in the fight against AIDS.
Together, we can fight AIDS and ensure a more secure future for everyone.
But 2 years later, AIDS killed one of his sons. In 1999, at the age of 85, Nelson Mandela said he was retiring from public life, but he continued his work fighting for children's rights. In a country torn apart by years of racial conflict, Nelson Mandela is considered a remarkable leader, a man who turned South Africa away from violence and hatred into a country of greater peace and understanding. Deborah Block, VOA News.